Welcome to Founders Future, a podcast powered by Closers.io, where we dive into the journeys of innovative entrepreneurs and explore the road ahead for them and their companies. I'm your host, Ammar, and in each episode, we uncover the stories behind impactful ventures, the challenges faced along the way, and the strategies driving their future growth. Today, we are absolutely thrilled to be joined by Georgy Marrero, founder and principal of EQUIS Capital, a commercial real estate investment firm empowering engineers and tech leaders to achieve financial freedom through strategic high-yield syndications. From leading AI initiatives at Meta to building a 28 million plus real estate portfolio, Georgy combines tech acumen with hands-on investment expertise to drive generational wealth and positive community impact. Georgy, welcome to Founders Future.
Thank you so much, Ammar. I'm very happy to be here.
I'm excited to dive in, man. I always like to start from the beginning to give the listeners more context into your story and who you are. So take me back to before you started EQUIS Capital. Take me back to before you started that. What were you doing before? And then what really motivated you to start the company?
Yeah, before starting EQUIS Capital, I was working as an AI engineer at Meta. And before that, I had spent over a decade just working in tech. I started very young when I was 10 years old. I grew up in the Dominican Republic and I learned how to code by curiosity. That
Wow.
was really it. Just learn as I went, curiosity and desire. But I was just a full-time AI engineer. But there are two events that happened. One of them was when I was 17 and I was back in the Caribbean. I read the infamous book, Rich Dad Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki,
Nice.
and also Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich.
Wow. And how old are you?
I was 17 when I read them.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Powerful.
I read them because I was trying, first of all, I didn't like to read, and I had one of my aunts force me. She was a literature professor, so she forced me to read, and
Cool.
she just said, read something, Google something, and find something. I read those because I needed to make a decision about what I was going to do with my life. And I didn't know if I wanted to stay in the Caribbean, Dominican Republic, or move to the States. But when I read Robert Kiyosaki, I got introduced to real estate, but most importantly, I learned about the value of time
Mm,
with respect to money. So the, the time is your most valuable currency and money is just a tool.
yeah.
Or it could be the other way around for some people. But I understood very quickly that real estate was a tool to shift the value of money across time. And what I
Mm,
mean with that is the traditional way is having a 401k and just putting your money in a nest egg that penalizes you if you take the money out before 55 or 65 years old. So it really is forcing you to not extract the value from your wealth for very long. Meanwhile, real estate does the total opposite. It gives you cash flow today that you can use today and extract value today. So maybe
yeah.
you can reach that freedom now rather than at 55 and 65. But I was a kid. I didn't even have $1,000 to my name. So I didn't really understand it. So what I did with that book is I put it in my back pocket and I decided to go to Silicon Valley to on this dream of being a tech entrepreneur.
Mm,
But when I went to school, studied AI, started my own company doing blockchain and AI in 2017, worked at Amazon, did a bunch of stuff, and then ended up in Facebook, where my life stabilized, my finances were stabilized. I decided to pick up the book again and I read it. So that was the second event. So now armed with money, I decided to invest in real estate. But
awesome.
that wasn't the birth of EQUIS Capital because I started really as a hobbyist.
Mm,
Just like everybody starts, they buy a property and they want to just rent it out to someone and collect some money. It's like the allure of it. So that's how I started too. But getting more income from Meta, I started buying two, three properties a year. And I realized that route was worthwhile. So that's when
mm,
I started pouring more time and effort. And then EQUIS Capital was birthed when I started getting some of my colleagues trying to give me capital.
mm.
So I had the knowledge, And I had the experience and they had the capital, and combined, EQUIS Capital just started scaling and acquiring more properties. Fast
Yeah.
forward, we have over 20 properties. We have over five right now in the pipeline, and we actually crossed 35 million in assets under management,
Nice.
but we're expected to cross over 100 million in the next 6 months.
Nice. Yo, congrats, man. That's awesome.
Thanks.
I love that. So, Rich Dad Poor Dad planted the seed, and obviously Think and Grow Rich too. I can imagine it was impactful. You went to Silicon Valley, became a tech entrepreneur. When did real estate come back in the mix? And also, you have a very unique approach to real estate. A lot of people, when they think of it, single family homes, maybe multifamily properties. But I'd love for you to dive into a little bit further into what your focus is. And just out of my own curiosity, how did you get introduced to the world of commercial, industrial, all that good stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. So I did start the same way that most people start, with the single family. So I did that. The first deal that I bought actively was not an investment. It was actually a house for my grandmother
Mm,
back in the Dominican Republic. Latinos, we're very fond of our family. Almost everything we do is about family. And I'm lucky as well that a lot of the investors that we have, Latinos or not, they really want to do these things because of family. But that was my motivation at the very beginning. I bought a house that was unfinished, 2 blocks away from my grandmother's house, and I put a creative offer. I didn't know anything about creative offers, but I listened to a few podcasts and I thought I knew what I was doing. Turns out I did. I did know what I was doing. Put the offer, it was under the basis, and I acquired the property. Then I shot for bids for the construction, found 3 bids, took the middle, negotiated down to the bottom, and then went with that one. Again, just listening to podcasts, I just learned certain tricks and I just applied them as I went. And it worked out well. But what did not work out well was when the whole thing finished and I invited my grandmother and I gave her the keys. She didn't accept it. She rejected it.
okay.
So yeah, she didn't want the house. She had a lot of opinions about this thing shouldn't be here. We gotta change this.
Oh, so
She's
she didn't like the house.
she she said yes. I made sure.
Yeah.
The only thing I didn't do is make her sign a contract. That's the only thing I didn't
Ah,
do. So that's my mistake.
yeah.
But I tried to make my mother convince her, but she couldn't. So I ended up putting it out in the market, and I received an offer. And when that closed, I realized that in 7 months I had made 20%. And I decided to just reinvest it. I had an opportunity lined up. So I reinvested, and that became a cash flowing property. Actually, I reinvested in 2 different properties. And then two became three, three became four. And then until the moment, Ammar, that I realized that the single family path was just too slow to allow me to reach that point of freedom, of financial
Mm,
freedom.
yeah.
It was just going to take the same amount of time if I were to buy houses as if I were just to double down on my tech job. I didn't like that. So that's when I started researching. I stopped any acquisition for about 6 months and I started researching commercial real estate. And truth be told, I counted 26 books in
Wow.
commercial real estate, didn't buy a
Wow.
single property. The books weren't the answer.
It happens.
Yeah. It wasn't until I started getting in the rooms of people already buying the commercial real estate that things changed for me.
Huge.
That's when I started finding peers and mentors that probably were my mentors during that time, just for those 6 months, but they taught me what I needed to know to get the next mentor that taught me the next 6 months. And they're in that, just being surrounded by people that this was their day to day, just acquiring a $10 million property, $20 million property, and just treating it like, I don't know, buying a pair of shoes. It just it felt easy, and that I just adopted that mindset. So that's where we are today.
Yeah, I love that. Dive into a little bit further into the types of commercial properties that you like to specialize in. But before you do that, I think there's something to be said about surrounding yourself with the right people. I love what you said with it felt easy. Like they're buying it just like they're buying a pair of shoes. Because I think what happens there, at least I'm using my own words, is you shift your paradigm. You go from seeing the world a particular way of like single family home this, single family home that, or let me read 26 books and still not take any action during that time, which I really appreciate you sharing because A lot of people are in that situation. But then when you surround yourself with people that are already doing it, it shifts your beliefs into what's possible because you see that they're just like you in many different ways. There's really not that much different. It's just that they took action. So I love what you said there.
Yep, exactly right. The types of acquisitions that we're doing today, I will start first with where we're doing acquisitions, where we're operating. So we have operations in the United States and we
Mm,
also have in the Dominican Republic. In the United States, the last acquisitions have been in the senior housing space.
cool.
That's a space that right now, with all the market dynamics, it's very resilient and the demand is outpacing the supply.
Mhm.
So just fundamentally, it makes sense. So that's the last acquisition we did. And then the future acquisitions that we have, at least from the five, I think three of them are also in the senior space.
Nice.
So we're getting there. But multifamily, anywhere 36 unit to 300 units, it's all fair game. And but in the portfolio, we also have light industrial today. We have some land that we're going to do just land development and then sell off after entitlement. In the Dominican
So
Republic,
sorry to cut you off. The land development piece, I've been learning a little bit more about that and I find that super interesting. So you said you're going to sell it after entitlement. So are you going to double close on it once it's entitled? Are you going to actually put a shovel in the ground and develop? Walk me through that.
yeah. So here's why I like land. So I look at investments as what are all the possible things that can go wrong and what am I going to do if it goes wrong? So if there's an investment where the only thing you can do is you buy it, you fix it, you refinance it, and you sell it, and that's the only plan that works, I wouldn't touch it with a 10 feet pole
Mm,
because it's too restrictive. And most likely, what you plan is not going to happen.
yeah.
But if you buy an asset, call it a land, and you can buy it and sell it tomorrow, and there's a buyer that will buy it, and you are, at least make all your money back. If you can buy it, do some surveys, and do a little bit of value or create some clarity for the next buyer and then flip it and make money, that's great. If you can do the survey, make a plan, do a master plan, do the rezoning, the sub parcels, and get everything approved and then sell it right there. Okay, that's another exit strategy that you have. Or maybe you can go ahead after that, you build it vertically. So you put whatever you have to put there and then you sell it empty and you still make money. Or
Mhm.
maybe you, after you build it and you get the certificate of occupancy, you go ahead and stabilize it, which means you bring it to over 90% occupancy and then you sell it and you still make money. Or you operate it for several years and you still make money, then that's great because there's 10 ways of making money. So that
Yeah.
those are the type of deals that we're going after. And that's why I like land. When I speak about land development, it's typically before going vertically, before putting anything, any construction, before doing any shovel. That's and then you can do it after the horizontal, which is after you go ahead and put the roads and all the infrastructure, or you can do it before. So get approved everything to do typically that's the land development play before the horizontal. So a new developer comes in, they make the roads, put the signage, finalize the infrastructure, some of it, some of them is usually already there, and then they go ahead and build vertically.
Yeah.
That's the business plan.
I love that. And to my understanding, basically the steps in the land development process is there's the feasibility study, then you have the entitlements, and I think after that you have the construction drawings, then you have the horizontal construction, then you have the vertical construction. And that at any point in in those stages, you can exit if you want and make money. Or you can keep it after the vertical construction, like you were saying, stabilize it, etc., and then exit at that point. Is that
Yep.
really accurate?
Yep. Yeah. Those are the best deals. If you can do multiple slice of different ways and still it makes sense, then that's good.
So you were saying multifamily, light industrial, land development, and then I cut you off. You were going to say something else.
Yeah. In the Dominican Republic, we do luxury residential developments
Cool.
and we're also doing some industrial developments. But the business plan in the Dominican Republic is different than the US. In the US, it's you have cap rate based valuation. In the Dominican Republic, it's all comps based. So when you do comps based, it makes more sense to be on the controllable side of things, which is development.
Got it. Very interesting. And to give the listeners more context, you're now starting to show people how to do this.
Yeah.
Okay, can
Yes.
you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yeah, we have a community of doers. So it's a lot of people that maybe they have started with single family, maybe a duplex here, and they coming to the point where they realize that they need to go a little bit bigger if they want to achieve their goals. We have a community where we introduce a lot of AI. So AI has been a part of me for a long time, and it's an accelerator and an enabler. And it's about how to use first the knowledge, because the foundational knowledge you have to have it. It's not plug and play, use this AI, don't know what's happening. But AI is a thing that makes you, instead of do one a year, how to do 10 a year and how to
Mhm.
scale.
Interesting. So AI can make it so that somebody can do 10 a year instead of one a year. Can you tell me a little bit more about that? I know we're tight on time, but yeah, I know we talked before, you didn't really mention the AI part when it comes to the real estate community. Tell me a little bit more about that, please.
Yeah. So first is the knowledge about playing a bigger game. And that's the foundational knowledge. And the found the fundamentals cannot be skipped. So AI is, if you look at a pyramid, and in the wider area is the most important thing, I would say AI is the tip.
Hmm,
It's probably the least important thing. When
interesting.
when I look at, for instance, how do I approach deals? The first thing is team or operators. The second thing is market or industry. And the third thing is asset or property. And that is true whether you're doing real estate, whether you're doing private equity, whether you're doing venture capital, or whether you, I don't know, are an entrepreneur and just forming a team inside of your company. So that those are the order. Then once you have that in place, then AI is the accelerator, is the multiplier. Because AI cannot save you from having a bad construction manager that will make things be delayed and have a debt eat you alive, right? But AI can allow you to run multiple cases of what can happen and have that already there to supercharge your construction manager, for instance. But more practically, with AI, you can quickly tell if a particular submarket will make sense today, in the next 5 years, in the next 10 years, based on a lot of data, better than what a human can do. So, for example, that process of market analysis, which a lot of operators skip, they don't care about market, they just care about the property. It used to take us about 6 hours just to do an analysis of a particular city. It takes us 6 minutes only just to do. Imagine if you're doing that in mass and automatically through an automation. You can discard 99% of the bad deals already. So that's one
Wow.
example there. But then underwriting, to do a proper underwriting, it's at least 4 hours. But if you look at why, it's because you're gathering so much inputs and you have to double check that it's $1,000, not 1,107. So with AI, double checking, bringing the input, and then checking multiple times based on your previous underwritings and based on data that's publicly available, it just cuts down tremendously that 4 hour mark,
Yeah.
right? So AI will not, it's not good to use AI to think for you and do the underwriting what you don't know, but it's good to delegate to it because it's an agent that's working 24/7 for you and replicable.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I love that so much. That's powerful. It's an accelerator, it's a multiplier. So the just so that the listeners, you had the team slash operators, then market, and then I missed the third one,
Asset or property.
asset slash property. That's
Yep.
powerful. And I like how you said that if we were looking at a pyramid or a triangle, the education and the knowledge, that's really the foundational piece. And then you build on top of that. And then AI is really the tip. So it's really the least important part, but it will allow you to go much further. When I was first learning about this land development process, I know a big part of it was analyzing like the city code or the city planning map or something. I forget exactly what it's called, but this was before ChatGPT and all this stuff. And you would sit there and you would have to like go to this particular section and then read this section and all that stuff. And then now you could just pop it into Perplexity or Notebook LM. I prefer Notebook LM if I wanted to just basically facts and don't hallucinate at all. Yeah, it's a crazy world we live in, man. It's
Mhm.
nuts. Sorry, go for it.
No, that's exactly it. There's very few people that know what Notebook LM is. And just by being a tinker and seeing how other experts are using AI for that thing that you're passionate about, it's very powerful. Or even if you look at how a marketer uses AI, then you can get all sorts of idea of how to use it for capital raising to
Yeah,
scale your capital contribution into your property. So we have to be very open to AI. We have to be thinkers and we have to have a dedicated time in our calendars just to use AI.
yeah, I like that. I like that. I created a GPT like a month ago that is basically, hey, I want you to keep me on top of everything that's happening, all the new tools, all this stuff. And then every Sunday I'll just go back to it. And then I'll be like, what happened this week? Talk to me.
Very nice. Very nice. Yeah, that's a creative way of using it for sure.
Walk me through, because you have EQUIS Capital and then now the real estate community. What's the name of the real estate community?
So it's been on the works, the name.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
So if people join now, they're coming in the ground floor. They're going to be the OGs of the community, essentially.
Yeah, yeah, we got the founding members of the community and they're killing it. There are some people there doing deals and for their next one
That's awesome.
and learning. It's a very nice community.
That's awesome. But then you also have Noom Shot, right? Am I correct?
Yes,
Cool.
yes, Noom Shot.
You want to briefly tell us that? Because I know we only have a couple more minutes, but
Yeah, so Noom Shot is an AI studio. It's a
cool.
very boutique AI studio. And we can say EQUIS Capital is a client of Noom Shot because the same team at Noom Shot is the one doing AI agents, implementing it from scratch and writing code and dashboards and just experimenting a lot. And but there's 15 other clients right now. So we have a cap on how many clients we will take because we work on very niche applications. It's not just doing an AI automation. Sometimes it's an entire AI product that we
Nice.
do for companies. And yeah, we work with a lot of real estate adjacent companies. So it could be brokerages, lenders, developers, investors, family offices, professional investors. But there's also some companies that don't have to do anything with real estate. There are investment companies that are in the stock market that we work with, etc. So whoever we work with, there's high affinity in one way or another. It's an application process, but yeah, it's a very nice team. And I guess the knowledge side. So it's a team that meets my role in the team, just to be clear, Ammar. So I've hired a lot of the engineers, and I work one on one with a lot of the business owners. But then I have a tremendous team, Latin American AI engineers with a mix of US and Europe. It's a great team. But my role really is coaching my own team members. That's replicating what I know and teaching them how to properly do AI using from my knowledge from Meta. That's what we do religiously every single week. And now I have many versions of AI engineers, Meta AI engineers that can get deployed into these other companies and just have this AI revolution inside of the companies. And when I bring the knowledge base that we have built in EQUIS Capital in on Noomshot, that's where the community comes from because that is expertise from those both sides of the equation. And then the intersection is the community where we actually apply.
And people can replicate what you've been able to do in a very short period of time.
Yep, correct.
Love that. I love that. One of my mentors, and I think this is a perfect illustration of what he taught me. He was like, Ammar, life is about compressing time. Or no, he didn't say life, he said success. Success is about compressing time. If you can take somebody's knowledge that took them years or decades to learn, and you can compress the time it took them to gather that information, and have that be downloaded in your brain through modules, through mentorship, through one-on-one conversations. That's really how you accelerate your career. I love that so much, man. What is the best way, because I want to be respectful to your time, what is the best way for people to reach out to you to work with you?
Yeah. So the best way is probably finding me on LinkedIn or Instagram. So you can just search me as Georgy Marrero, GeorgyMarrero, and just say that you listen to this podcast and I will respond myself and talk to you. So that's me there. And then we can just take it depending on what you want. We can just take it from there.
Beautiful. And last question to wrap up. If you were to go back in time and talk to your younger self before you started EQUIS Capital, before you started the community, Noom Shot, all that stuff, and you could give yourself a piece of advice, something that you know now, but you didn't know at the time, what do you think that would be?
It would probably be to think even bigger, and that big goals require a lot of people on your side. So don't be afraid of joining forces with other people. And like you said, compressing time with their knowledge.
Oh, I love that. Georgie, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Ammar.
So that wraps up another inspiring episode of Founders Future. To our listeners, if you enjoyed this episode, make sure to reach out to Georgy Marrero on LinkedIn, on Instagram. We're going to link it around here so it's easier for you guys to find. And if you are a business owner, specifically a coach, consultant, or agency owner, and you're really looking to scale your business and you want to enhance your sales and marketing efforts, visit closers.io to hop on a call with our team and discover how we were able to go from zero to $30 million per year in less than 3 years. Until then, keep on climbing.